Hi, welcome back to The Blind Homemaker. Today I'm teaching you how to season your cast iron. In this video, I'm going to talk a little bit more about why I use cast iron as opposed to nonstick, but I want to get started first. So I have some of my cast iron. I don't have it all here because it won't all fit on my counter. So what you're going to want to do is start by, that is so funny because I was going to say start by preheating your oven and mine just preheated. So what you're going to do is preheat your oven to 450. Take your bottom rack in your oven and put it all the way towards the bottom, as far down as it goes, and then put a cookie sheet under it, and then put your next rack on top of that. Does that make sense? Just on the next rung, because when we're seasoning our cast iron, we don't want any of the oil to drip down into the bottom of your oven and cause a fire. I haven't caught a fire that way, but I have caught a fire in my oven before from grease, so I am speaking from experience. Okay.
Recently.
Yeah, pretty recently, unfortunately.
With friends over.
Okay, just tell my whole shameful story. Okay, in this bowl, I have coconut oil. When you are seasoning your cast iron, you want to use an oil that can be heated at high temperatures. So that's going to preferably be a fat that is solid at room temperature. So I'm gonna use coconut oil. You can also use tallow or lard, or you can use avocado oil. What you cannot use, butter. You cannot use olive oil, and you cannot use seed oils. The reason you can't use seed oils is because they should be illegal, and don't let me hear that you have them in your home. Vegetable oil, Crisco, none of that. It's terrible for you, don't have it. Okay, and I also have a roll of paper towels because we don't want to over oil up our cast iron because it'll get sticky. So I'm gonna start with this small little egg pan, really is what we use it for. And I put the coconut oil in a bowl because I'm gonna be using my hands and I don't wanna be digging in there with my hands in the actual container.
How old is that
We've had it since we were married.
Yeah.
We've been married 12 years. So what I'm going to do is just put a layer of the oil on the pan. Not a super thick layer. And as I'm rubbing it in, it's kind of melting a bit, the oil is. So just get everywhere with the oil all around the pan. And that also includes the sides and the bottom and the handle. You've got to season the whole thing. And this is what's going to make it non-stick. Don't use Teflon, or at least I don't. Look, it's your kitchen, do what you want, but there have been lots of health issues linked to nonstick pans, and they're constantly finding out that the chemicals that they put on nonstick pans are terrible for you. We find out, they change what the pans are made of, and then we find out that that ingredient that they changed is also terrible for you. And you can't use metal spatulas or spoons on nonstick because it can start causing that layer to flake off into your food. There's also, it's called like Teflon flu that you can get if you heat those nonstick coatings really hot. It can actually aerosolize into the air and cause flu-like symptoms actually. And it could be bad for people who have asthma or babies, so just don't use them. But I'm going to show you how to do the cast iron. And the thing is, if you treat your cast iron right and you season it and you take care of it well, my grandchildren can use this. My great-grandchildren can use this. So I have this really well oiled, and I'm going to grab a paper towel and I'm just going to blot it a little bit, because if you have too much oil, it will make your pan sticky. So
they're also a good source of iron.
That is true, especially like being in a family with a bunch of girls, we tend to have lower iron. I actually used to struggle very seriously with iron deficiency anemia, and I don't so much anymore because actually some of this iron does come into your food, but it's healthy ingredients, so you're safe. So cook on cast iron, and I'm telling you, your health will appreciate it. And when you season it well, they are nonstick. So I'm going to take this pan and I'm going to put it upside down on the top rack of my oven, and I'm going to leave it for about 2 hours. And I'm just gonna cycle everything through. So I'm gonna start with this frying pan, and I have some Dutch ovens. This is the lid to my cast iron Dutch oven. It has not been seasoned for a while because the actual Dutch oven, which I have right here, looks pretty nonstick on the inside because I season the actual frying pans and the Dutch ovens every time I use them. I do it the stovetop way, which I can show you. Actually, let me show you right now. Come here. So pretend I just made a delicious pork roast, which I did do last night. I washed this out. What I'm going to do is, let's pretend I just washed it and it's a little bit damp. What I'm going to do is turn my stove on high heat. And what this is going to do is evaporate the water off of your pan, because what causes rust? It's iron oxide. So it's when this cast iron gets wet and then exposed to oxygen. So you want to try to evaporate all of the moisture out. And as you're doing that, you're actually going to be heating up your pan a little bit. So I'm gonna give it this, I don't know, maybe 2 minutes. It's gonna heat up really high, and then I'm gonna show you how you can season it just right here on the stove. And these are like quick seasonings because it's only gonna season the inside of it, but you need to do this every time you use your cast iron. But what I'm doing now with putting everything in the oven is I'm doing like a more long-term seasoning that helps just the integrity. So while that's heating, let's go grease up the lid to our
And you can
cast
see
iron.
a difference.
You could definitely see a difference. So in here on the inside of this lid, I can feel that there's rust. And there's little, like, I don't know, pokiatis, divots? No, divots go in. What would these be called? Notches? So I'm just gonna try to get around the notches on the inner part of the lid. This is the part that really does not get seasoned much. So I am gonna season it pretty liberally.
Those are spikes.
It does kind of feel like spikes. I think it's for the condensation.
It is.
When you have it on your pot, I think it's for the condensation. So I'm gonna pretty liberally get this sucker
The
all
pokiatis.
covered. Yeah, around the pokiatis. That's actually the scientific name. I don't know if you know that.
Uh-huh.
It's the scientific name, the pokiatis.
Not spikes or stalactites.
They're stalactites because they're hanging tight to the. Okay, all right, that's enough. That's enough. So when you're cooking with cast iron, you're going to have that wonderful seasoning that's going to keep, and seasoning does not mean flavor. It just means the preparation that you do on your cast iron. But that will keep your food from sticking. And when you wash it, I know this sounds crazy, but you are not going to use soap. Everything should pretty easily slide out. And if it doesn't, you're going to get, let's see, where is she? One of these little scrub brushes. This looks like a sponge-ish in shape. It's actually chainmail. So you can use this on your cast iron to scrub it, and that will scrub off anything that is stuck on, and then you just rinse with really hot water, and you do what we're doing right now on the stove. So let's go back over there to the stove, because this sucker, I'm just gonna put my hand over to feel how hot it is. It's hot, it's screaming hot. So I'm gonna turn off the heat. I'm gonna get a little bit of my coconut oil and drop it in, and I'm gonna let that melt for a few seconds. So what we're doing is we've gotten the pan very hot, the cast iron very hot, and now this oil is going to melt. And what we're doing is essentially sealing the pores of the iron so that food doesn't get in between there and get stuck. You can fry an egg on this sucker, okay? I'm here to tell you. I have a paper towel, and the coconut oil has melted on the inside of my cast iron. I'm just gonna take my paper towel and very carefully, I'm just going to rub that melted oil all on the inside of the pan, of the Dutch oven. And that's how you do your everyday seasoning when you use the pan. Also, some people, if you cook 3 meals from scratch every day and you are using, say, a cast iron frying pan, make your fried eggs, get you a paper towel, wipe it out. You don't need to bring it over to the sink and clean it. You're good. I've been doing this for years. I never got food poisoning, so we're good. And that's all. That's all you do for your stovetop seasoning. But let's get back over here to the other counter with my lid. And I'm just gonna do the top part of my lid, and I'm just gonna repeat this process with all of my cast iron, and I am going to just run it through the oven and let it season for about 2 hours for each piece. Just make sure you have the cookie sheet on the bottom rack because you don't want that oil dripping down into your oven. You may see my outfits change because I still have to live my life while all this is happening. So I'm gonna go work out and do things like that. And I'll bring you back to show you what everything looks like when it's done seasoning and I've taken it out of the oven and it's cool. Hopefully you'll be able to notice a big difference. So we'll see.
One eternity later.
I'm sorry.
Do you want me to do it again?
I'm good.
Okay. It's been a million hours. Not really, but it's been a lot of the day. I worked out, we went outside. I may be a little bit sunburnt, but all of the cast iron is out of the oven. Oh, yeah. By the way, you may want to like open some windows because my smoke alarm did go off. And they all turned out really well. The only thing is the lid to the Dutch oven. I do think I'm going to season it again. I think it could use more seasoning. But other than that, I'm really happy how everything turned out. And I hope that you all enjoyed the video. If you have any questions about cast iron or cooking gadgets, let me know. And until next time, happy homemaking.